calculator, when you're dealing with statistics, the most important key for you is right here. Second row, third key in, stats. This is a built-in statistical package that will do all the work that you need to do for you in less than the blink of an eye. The only time you invest is typing it into the calculator. Most of the data sets are relatively small, 8, 10, 12, 15, but one of the data sets on one of the questions in the homework exercise in this sec has 50 pieces of data in it. So that's kind of cruel and unusual punishment if you're going to do it by hand. That's a lot of extra time and work for you. So the calculator is a tool for us. So let's talk about how the calculator can help us. First of all, a description of what we see our screens look like. When you press the stat key, you come up to this screen and you have 3 choices to pick from. You can edit information, you can do built-in calculations on information, or you can do tests on information. This is for a full-blown stats class. We're not doing that. Only one thing out of the calc column will we use. You spend most of your time in this column over here, and you make most of your mistakes in that column over there. So your options are edit, change what's in a list of data, or put in a new list of data. Sort into ascending order, sort into descending order. I don't like the information that was in that list, get rid of it. I want to clear it up. I want to erase it and start from scratch. It's not like the Etch-a-Sketch where you can turn it upside down and shake it and it comes up clean. It doesn't work that way. Or set up editor. Oh my God, I let my friend borrow my calculator, it's coming back and it's not doing any of the things that I need it to do. Don't call me. Don't offer to give me $50 to fix your calculator. Well, actually do offer that. I'll take it. But I'm going to show you how to do it now. Okay? Don't send it back to Texas Instruments and say, fix it. They'll charge you $80 to fix the calculator, and the guy will laugh at you and take your $50. This is for when your calculator gets screwed up, either somebody else that you let borrow it or you. So I'm going to tell you what you don't do to screw it up. And then promptly someone's going to do it. Okay? So edit. I'll start with edit. The numbers on the outside are direct access numbers. You can press a number, it goes directly to the number that's associated with. It goes directly to that function. Or you can move the cursor down and highlight it and press enter. So I got number 1. I'm entering. First of all, before we talk about how the data got there, I see 3 lists of data in here. If you have one of the newer models of the 84, you see maybe 6 lists on the screen right now, but it's also tiny Bible print. So unless you've got good eyesight, you don't really see everything you need out there. But they're still there because there's a list 1, there's a list 2, there's a list 3, I'm just using the arrow keys here, there's a list 4, there's a list 5, and there's a list 6. You have 6 lists of data. You probably don't need all 6 lists at one time, but if you're working on an exercise and you don't want to erase it and then come back to it later on and retype the data, you may put your data in a different list. It's important you know where you put your data, because if you don't know where you put your data, you're not going to get the correct answer. It's all about you. It's not about me, it's all about you, okay? So I'm going back to list number 1. How many of you have nothing in your lists? So that means you've never used them before. Might be a brand new calculator. Wonderful, okay? If that's the case, then the first thing we want to talk about is how to get stuff into a list. So I'm going to move over to list number 2. I don't care if you move to list number 2 or not, it doesn't make a difference. How do I enter a list of data? I may see that data up there at the top arranged in a nice long row, but the calculator does everything in columns. So don't put 12 in list 1, and then the second 12 in list 2, and then the 15 in list 3, and so on down the line. You're going to run out of space real quick because you haven't got an infinite number of lists. Oh, by the way, each one of these lists will hold 999 data entries, 999 lines of data. That's a lot, okay? But it arranges them vertically. So it's simple. Type. That's all you got to do. 12, enter. 12, enter. 15, 16, 18, 20, 21, 23, 25, 26, 29, 29. Gee, thanks. I thought you were my friend. You were watching me type. How come you told me I just typed something? I didn't type 26 when I said 26, and I did it on purpose. If you don't go back and double check your data input, the calculator thinks that you're smart. The calculator is frickin' stupid. but it's very good at being stupid. It gives you the results for what you gave it. Make sure you got it right. So I made a mistake, and that means what I'm saying is, before you process a list of data, before you do anything with a list of data, scroll back through the list of data and find out what's there. Now notice this middle section is scrolling. You only get to see 7 items at a time. You can't change that, but the lists are 999 columns, lines long. So you're never going to see all the data. You have a top line, which is called the label line, that tells you you're currently in list number 2. And you have a status line at the bottom, which tells you what's on that line because these columns are fixed width. So if there's not enough room to put the whole number in there, it's going to round off. Or it may kick you into scientific notation. But you'll always see what the number is down here. Okay? So I currently am in list 2 on line number 9. And that value is holding 25. So I'll always see exactly where I am. I see a 2 up here in the right-hand corner. I'm still trying to figure out how that goes because as I move this, if I move it back over here, that'll show me 1. But this label line never disappears, so I always know what list I'm in. That's never going to go away. But the middle section will scroll. So you need to be careful and double check to make sure you didn't make a mistake. So I made a mistake in typing here. This item that was 27 should have been a 26. Your calculator by default mode is currently on overtype. Whatever's underneath the cursor when you type will be replaced by what you type. You do not need to delete this one to add the next one in, to add the one you should have had in there. You just type right over the top of it. So, 26. Or the other thing that could have happened in there, you may have gotten in a hurry and you may not have typed one of the numbers. And when you go back, you say, wait a second, I'm short a number. Wow. So always check your data before you sort it into sequential order or you'll never find the piece of data. So when you transcribe it from paper to calculator, double check the paper to calculator transition. Don't sort it into sequential order immediately. You don't ever have to sort it, but there are times when it might be a good thing. So you missed the data value. Calculator doesn't care what the order was. It really doesn't care what the order was. But if you're insistent on that piece of data being between 25 and 29, then put the cursor where you want it to be inserted. I missed the 26. I have to insert it before the 29. So I put the cursor on the 29, and I do second and the delete key, which is going to insert. Or you can put it at the bottom of the list. It's up to you, but it's got to go in someplace. So if I did second, and notice when I did the second key, it turned my cursor into an up arrow. So I know I'm using the secondary function of each key. Then when I did the delete key, notice that it wedged everything down and wedged a 0 value inside there. It doesn't know what I meant to type, so it says, here's a place for it. You probably don't want 0, but type what you want here. So now I can put in my 26. Make a mistake, it can be forgiving. Make a mistake and don't catch it, it's not going to be very forgiving at all. So now I have all the information in. That's as simple as putting the information in. What happens if I don't want that list? Well, I actually want to keep this list, so I'm going to come over here into a different list. I want to move over into list number 1. What happens if list number 1 holds old information, information I'm finished with and I don't want to use anymore? I got to get rid of it. There's a good way to do that, and there's a bad way to do that. Let me give you the bad way first. When you're at the very first entry point of your list, you can still go up. If you move your cursor up into the label, you need to be very careful because anything you do at this point will affect everything in the list. Everything. If you are in the list of data up here, and you're thinking, I want to delete the stuff that's in this list, and you press the delete key. Look, watch, watch, watch. I just pressed the delete key, and what happened? Guess what? My calculator's broken. I can't find list number 1. You haven't deleted the list. You just created a blank list. When you delete an entire list from the label, it did exactly what you told it to do. You said, I don't want to see that anymore. That's like me reaching in here, taking a piece of paper and wadding up and saying, I'm throwing it away. I don't want to see it anymore. It's not gone. You get it back by going back to the stat key and running the setup editor. It says, I'm done. The English person in me says it should say finished, but it didn't. If I go back into stat and get into the edit mode again, list number 1's back. All you did was temporarily remove it from sight. But I had someone last hour that got messy playing around with their calculator. They deleted every stinking list that they had. So now they didn't have any way to be able to get back to their lists. They couldn't refer to them. Send it to Texas Instrument with $80. They'll fix it and send it back to you. Bring it to me with $40.